Most of the people forget 95% of things that they learned in just 1 month.
I mean, imagine going to class, making notes, spending hours and hours, practicing or solving assignments, and then in a month, and you don't even remember what you have been learned. But on the other side, there are people who can learn things much faster than you. Something that takes you 10 hours just takes them 3 hours.
And once they learn something, they don't seem to forget anything.
Example, Scott Young, the author of the book Ultra Learning. He finished his 4-year computer science degree at MIT in just 1 year.
And he also been able to learn multiple languages in just a couple of months. And in this video, we'll talk about few tips and techniques that you can using start from today to learn much faster and better. If you are someone who is in school, college, coaching, and this video is going to be gold mine for you.
The learning method.
Most of the people think that learning equals to consuming information. That if you read more, watch more lectures, take more notes, you will be learning everything. But that's not how it works.
Learning actually happens in 2 phases. Phase 1 is where you consume information through reading, watching or listening. Phase 2 is where you give yourself some time to process it, apply it or retrieve it later.
Most of the people don't even care about phase 2. That's why they struggle to learn anything new. Remember, your brain is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger the connections between neurons become. And this is where the meta learning comes in. The skill of learning how to learn. And if you can master in this, you're able to save a lot of time. So when you're learning something new, so listen to this carefully.
Basically, there are 3 rules of meta learning which are mentioned in the rule book. Rule number 1 is to understand the reason why you are learning something new,
because the way that you will study would be entirely different if you are preparing for an exam and when compared to learning for fun. And having a clarity makes a lot of difference because it defines what you will be focusing on the most. So the rule number 2 is to figure out what are those minimum number of things that you should master in order to get the job is done. Example, the classic case of the most of the exams where you can just look at the previous questions to understand there is a pattern so that you can smartly skip a chapters here and there. Now the rule number 3 is to figure out how you will be learning the things that you have shortlisted. A lot of students just read something and expect themselves to learn. Some of them watch a lecture and they think that they know everything. The point is, learning is not a passive process. It is an active process. Unless and until you read it, you listen it and you consume it and use some techniques and finally test yourself, you're not going to be learn anything new. So now, what are those techniques to make your learning process much more effective? And start taking notes. I'm pretty sure you'll be forgetting this in couple of days. Let's start with the first one. Always learn in the 3 phases. Imagine I'm learning how to build an app website or I'm just preparing for an exam. My first phase would be to just watch a couple of videos on it. The second phase would be practicing on it because this is the place where most learning usually happens. You'll also get a lot of doubts, but don't be scared to ask those doubts. Doesn't matter how stupid they are. Like how many times that you get a doubt in your classroom and you'll feel like I shouldn't be asking right now because my friends will judging me. But don't do that, it is killing your growth. Now the third phase is retrieval phase, basically phase where you test yourself after 4 to 5 days of learning something new, either by solving some questions or asking yourself more questions. So now the point is all 3 phases are very important. So whenever you are making a study schedule, make sure that you block time for all these 3 phases. And now the second technique is to start using tech to learn. AI tools have become so good right now and some of them are literally very free to use. There are 3 AI tools that I would like to suggest apart from OpenAI's ChatGPT. And the first one is Google's Notebook LM, which can summarize your notes and explain concepts and best part. And it can turn your study material into podcast wherever you can ask questions. And I have been using this for a couple of months. I just love it. And the second one is Google's AI Studio, and this one is actually crazy. Because when you're getting doubt, you can actually do a Google Meet and share your screen, ask your doubts. And it will answer your all questions that you are in real time. It's like you are on meet with an expert and expert is answering all your questions in real time. Crazy, right? The third tool is called Anki, which is basically is a flashcard app which can ask you questions in regular interval of time about the new information that you have studied so that you don't get to forget it. The third one is list of techniques to keep your brain active. Because studies show that on average if you are studying for 4 hours straight, then the effective study time is less than 25%, which means your brain spent less than 1 hour. I mean, I shocked when I first got to know about this. But the best way to do here is use techniques like Pomodoro and alternate sprints, because with these techniques you'd actually spend some time learning something and then would take actively a break. So now you are getting to the phase of learning, taking a break, learning, taking a break. So now your brain actually knows what you have to do at what point of time, which means you will not end up daydreaming. What while you are learning something new, very important. There is also one more technique called as Interl Effect. It basically says that instead of studying the same subject for 4 hours, you should actually switch to a new subject after 1-2 hours of time. This will make your brain actively focus on the reading material, and this will also work much better because now your brain will start seeing a pattern between different subjects, which will make the entire learning process much more effective. The funda is simple. You need to keep your brain as active as possible while you are learning a piece of new information. As simple that now the next important technique is Feynman Technique, which essentially says that whenever you read something new or whenever you learn something new, and you should essentially close that book and take a new piece of paper and try to explain whatever you have learned in a most simplest manner. And while explaining the concept yourself in the piece of paper, if you get stuck, that is the exact concept that you need to revision. In the other words, you can't explain it in the most simplest manner and then even you don't understand it well enough. The person who puts most number of efforts to learn something new, be it in the form of making notes after the class, revising, practicing or anything else, he will end up the learning most. It's all the game of keeping your brain as active as possible while you are learning something new. And there is also techniques called visual learning and memory causal, because our brain learns much more through images rather than text. But I wanted to talk about the core learning methods in this video rather than talking about remembering things. So yeah, here you go. So this is all for the video. I hope you have made the notes, because I'm pretty sure if you don't revise what I spoke in this video, you are going to forget it. See you, bye.